So there's major happenings going on in the gaming world, to the point where some of my Patreons asked me to talk about it. I wanted to talk about France, but this is the equivalent of that, but it's in the gaming world, you understand? Like every single video game journalist is talking about this. So what is this all about? Now, there's this game called Fallout 76, and it is one of the most shameless cash grabs that I have ever seen in my entire life. We're talking about a game, Fallout 4, that was made for a single player experience. So the company who made this game decided, what if we add some multiplayer in it and then we sell the game for a full price? Like, it's a borderline scam. The corporation didn't want to invest any resources into making the game, and they wanted to get as much money as they would for releasing another game. Like, let me explain in a way that everyone would understand, okay? Because I believe that tits managed to transcend any culture and language barrier. And even if you don't play video games, this analogy will probably get you to understand what gaming corporations are up to today. Imagine you buy a porn magazine, like, I don't know, Playboy or something, right? And you're enjoying, of course, you're reading it for the story. You're not reading it for the boobage or anything like that, heaven forbid. You're a good person, right? Now, imagine if Playboy would release a number that's very popular, and a lot of people buy it. It's good shit. Now, Playboy, instead of actually working on the next issue, instead of trying to get content in order to put out the next magazine, what they do is they clip out the face of some chick, they stick it on the previous issue that was successful, and then try to sell that to people for the full price. And when people purchase it, not only do they notice that it's the same shit that they've already read, but the pages are missing, some of the sentences don't make sense, there's no spell checking, the quality of the material is quite shady and poor, like you're trying to flip the page and it ends up tearing apart in your hand, right? Of course it would be an outrage, people wouldn't buy that. So it's the exact same thing that Bethesda tried to do with Fallout. It's a game that's borderline unplayable because it's a buggy mess. The multiplayer doesn't even make sense because the game was designed as a single player game. And furthermore, it's also the same game. It's Fallout 4. Like, you notice that it's the same game, and the mother could have done the shit that this corporation tried to do in order to sell a full price game to people. And obviously it didn't work. Like, people didn't want to buy it because it's already... I believe 50% off in some places. Like, it's that bad, and it's been released for, I think it's less than a month. Now, 2 days ago, the video gaming press is starting to put out articles about Fallout 76, and there's a lot of them. Everywhere I look, everywhere I go, it's like, oh my god, Fallout 76 articles. It's like, what the fuck is this about, right? And apparently, according to the title, it's like Fallout 76 players banned. And I stopped reading right here and I like, what do you mean Fallout 76 players? Is anyone playing this shit? Like, this was indeed something that is worth mentioning. Like, it's news breaking, right? Like, there's actually people playing Fallout. This is like NASA saying that they found germs on Mars type of shit. It's like, what? Who is playing it? Honestly. Like, I want pictures or I don't believe it. But apparently this is not the focus of the article, okay? Like, it's not that some idiots spend their money to buy a broken product, because that would have been headline itself. No, apparently what the journalists are concerned is that the players had the potty mouth, and apparently they were planning to eliminate all gays. So I guess the FBI is probably informed because some high school kids decided to go on a video game and shit talk to people online. And this is a national crisis in the video game community. I'm not even kidding. Like, the person who suffered through this horrible harassment has let on his Twitter a link where LGBTQ LMNOP people can click so that they can get treatment for this harsh level of psychosis that they had to suffer by playing this game or watching the video where these monsters of teenagers, of high school teenagers, have decided to do psychic damage on people playing Fallout. So I'm going to show you the horrible images, but before I do this, I want to ask people, if you have any children in the room, okay? If you have like a grandpa that's weak at heart, if you have any people that are unable to view this level of grotesque imagery, please remove them, right? Make sure that they don't see it, because now I'm going to show you very disturbing graphical images. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, boys. Hello?
Hello?
Attention, all queers. We've
Game
come to eliminate.
We've come to eliminate the
Stand
game.
down, and we will spare the level 2.
Let's just go to the, what's it called?
We've come to eliminate all gays.
All gays. Yeah, are you gay, sir?
Stand
You better not be gay.
Hey, you bet-
Well, you better not be gay, bro. Oh my God, it's a gay.
Eliminate that queer. Queer down.
Clear down.
Don't even try with your gay bullets, they won't work. Grab your shit.
We're anti-gay.
We have to
don't that
decontaminate
shit,
it. We got decontaminate the AIDS. Make sure you wear some Brad protections.
bro. Oh, I saw his gay shit. I can't pick up the gay, bro. Why is this gay? I just saw it. What the fuck?
Okay, so let me get this straight. This guy that apparently has been harassed online, he didn't even try to mute them. He didn't even try to leave the game. Like, if it's so offensive that you just can't handle it anymore, why would you stay there? Why on earth would you stay there? But no, I need to believe that he experienced some sort of mental trauma that he has to go complain on the twatters. And then, like, people are virtue signaling and they're pretending as if these guys weren't joking. Like, if you just read the articles and you don't play the video game and you don't see the footage, you genuinely think that there are some people out there that are going to commit terrorist activity against homosexuals. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm reading the article. I'll do it on my live stream. I'll read the articles and you see the serious tone that the journalists are taking in order to address this situation. Like, homophobia apparently doesn't even matter if you're serious or not. Like, just joking. You can hear the people laughing as they're saying. Like, the people themselves realize that what they're saying is so ridiculous and it's so absurd that they're laughing at it. Like, that is the whole point. It's called trolling, is why they're doing it. But no, now every single journalist is livid about it. They're in the mode and lecturing to people and preaching about the intersectionality and the systems of oppression and that type of shit. Like, I'm sorry if I come from a second world country where it's difficult to put food on the table, when I'm trying to renovate an apartment for 5 months now because you can't find work. Like, this is like actual real problems that I'm dealing with. And then I look over to the Amerikansky land where the epitome of the problem is that some guy tried to play a video game and some kids were griefing him in it. And now I need to watch this and say, oh my God, like, what a world, what a world. These people don't have real problems. There's no other way for me to explain this shit. They legitimately do not have any actual grievances if this needs to be escalated to the point where it's front page news on every fucking journal that talks about video games. Now, here's what's something even more interesting, right? Now, apparently, Bethesda decided to ban the people who did this. They banned them for life. So here's what I don't get anymore. Now, maybe I'm a little bit old in this regard. Maybe I'm a little bit of a boomer. But back when I was a kid and I wanted to play a video game, I would go to the store and I would purchase a disc, which was quite expensive, by the way. And the expensive part still remains. Like, video games aren't that cheap, at least not for me. You know, maybe if you're a rich person or maybe in America they're cheap. But for me, it's 60 euros. I still struggle in order to gather money in order to buy a game. Like, because Christmas is coming, I'm going to do the arrogance and purchase for myself one video game. One video game. That's all I can afford. And I'm still, like, deciding what game to choose. You know, like, I'm looking at what's on the market so I can decide to play what video game, because I'm not that rich, okay? And here's the shtick. Back in the day, you would get like a physical disc, and it was yours, like it belonged to you. Nowadays, if you buy a video game, you get dick. Like, you don't get anything. There's no physical disc or anything like that. No, if you want to buy Fallout 76, You buy basically the permission from the company to play on their server, and at any time they choose, they can decide to remove that permission, but they don't give you the money back. So how does this work? How is this a thing? Now, apparently in the United States, the terms of agreement seem to be binding or something like that. I don't know, right? But if these people were in the European Union, they could have sued Bethesda and they would have won. And it's not even a difficult lawsuit to do. Like, the European Union doesn't give a shit about your terms of service that a corporation can make to be as advantageous as possible for the corporation itself, but at the same time, like, not give a single flying fuck about their customers. Like, this is unheard of. Like, imagine, going and buying a car, and the company that sells you the car would give you some terms of agreement you need to sign, that if you ever have, like, road rage, or if you ever have a potty mouth while at the wheel, the company could confiscate the car away from you at a moment's notice. Because this is what happens in the video game, and I think this would actually be a story worth telling. Like, this is something that journalists should talk about. But instead, no, we talk about the fact that some random guy that no one heard about got trolled online. Like, wow, congratulations, what a tragedy. What do you want me to do? Where is this Patreon? I need to contribute. I hope he's fine. I hope he's okay. How will he ever manage to go through life after suffering this traumatic experience? Absolutely absurd. But anyway, I also want to point out how, like, Bethesda doesn't even decide to mute these people or anything like that. No, like, ban is the only way. Ban is the sentence. Ban is the sentence. They really, like, don't know anything between banning and not banning. There's no other solution. I remember when I was playing games like Diablo 2 and StarCraft 1 and shit like that, people would go wild. They would type everything that they wanted, and none of my friends died because of it. I don't know any of my friends who suffered real life damage because they played the game of StarCraft and Skullfuck47 called one of them a faggot. Like, that never happened. You'd go over it, or you'd block them, or you'd mute them, or something like that. But no, now, because here's the thing, like, a lot of people keep saying that blocking is wrong. No, I'm all for blocking. Since I started my channel, I have consistently said, yeah, I'm not against muting, I'm not against blocking, but the problem is, like, when someone asks for the platform, in this case Bethesda, to ban people that they don't like, or to change the rules in order for them to feel more comfortable, like, fuck off. So, yeah, that's my point. Now, I'm going to go on my live stream, and I'm going to read some of these ridiculous articles, and you will see how concerned the journalists are over the problem with homophobia in the video gaming world. And we're going to go through them. So please follow me on my live stream if you want. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. Unbelievable that this is newsworthy. Just seriously unbelievable. I don't know who the video gaming journalists are writing pieces for anymore, because I have seen far worse griefing in other video games. Like, this is some low-level shit, and this makes front page news. Like, clearly the journalists aren't playing any other game, or I don't know how else to explain it. It's just bewildering.